Greetings, fam. Those of you who have been watching my content, you know that I heavily preach that life evolved in the Americas. The Americas is the motherland. This is the land of ancient Egypt, land of Canaan. Now, what we're going to discuss today is the immigration pattern of how people left the continents of the Americas and they ended up in modern day Africa. Now, also, we're going to get into how they conquered us. We all know the saying that not all skin folk are kinfolk. So obviously that means that people who look like us, our own people, sold us out to our enemies and helped them conquer us. But other than our skin folk not being kinfolk, what else? Religion. Yes, let's talk about it. Everyone knows that we're very spiritual, religious people. And so they use that to their advantage, right? How did they do that? By giving us gods that were not our own. By giving us forms of religion that were not our own. So let's take a look. Our invaders found penetration easy. You see that? Under the banners of religion. First, the crescent folks came. Islam, Allah, right? They're the first ones to conquer our people and put us in slavery. And then came the message of Jesus Christ and the cross. Okay. And so those that didn't take to this religion, they took to this religion of Christianity. And there were some in between that didn't take to either one of them. And so they were considered to be pagans. They were considered to be outcasts. And they were just kind of thrown off to the side of society. And those of you who follow the Bible, you know clearly that Moses told the Israelites that they were going to worship gods of wood and stone. Clearly, the Kaaba stone is a part of Islam, right? And that cross, which is the wooden cross, is a part of Christianity. Okay, so that's a no-brainer. Those are the two religions that it's talking about, that our future generations were going to worship. Our ancestors accepting these religions, and you today also still accepting these religions, it does nothing but further perpetuate pale skin supremacy. If you can see next to the star what I have underlined, okay? And all this does is reinforce their dominance over us. So they also wanted to destroy us completely. If you look at the very bottom, they wanted to destroy us as a people. It talks about the changing of the names with the conversion into Islam and Christianity. Names were changed. It was forced on them. Just a whole new way of life, a way of thinking was forced upon them or introduced to them by adhering to these different religious belief systems. What is another way we were conquered? Because we're disorganized. It clearly states here that they knew, regardless of the number of people that they had that would confront us, as long as they were organized, they knew that they would be able to conquer us. Our ancestors were the type of people, they just lived life, you eat, drink, be merry. It was also our kind, sweet nature. We were a very, very peaceful people. We're a kind, peaceful, loving, giving people. And you know what the narcissists do to kind people. They devour them. What drew the Caucasoids and other races of people to the Americas? Well, it was rich in resources. There was gold, all sorts of resources in the Americas. Not only that, it was a great place to grow. I outlined in other videos how all of the crops that are actually eaten over the root crops mainly in modern day Africa actually came from South America. So as the immigrants, the pale skin immigrants increased in number, then we unfortunately were pushed to the bottom ladder of society. And not only that, the children that our ancestors had with them joined their forces in conquering us and pushing us further down the ladder. Here it is right here. It weakened us by mixing with them because those of us that had children with them, they turned against us. You see that? You clearly see that, right? This is another reason why we were told not to mix and mingle with the strangers, not to have children with them. This is a consequence of it. The Asians were very proud of their mulatto sons. that had our blood in them. But look at what they did to the mothers. They kept them in slavery, but they emancipated the children that they had with them out of slavery. They weren't slaves. You see that? Keep in mind, although mulattoes were considered to be above us, there were many people that were, the Asians and Caucasians that were very fair-skinned. They still didn't accept them as being equal to them, but they did have many of the rights and privileges that the Caucasoids, the fair-skinned people, had. Before the Caucasoids were pushing us off of this land in the Americas, the Asians actually did it. And we were forced to either go elsewhere or stay on our homeland and be reduced to the same status as servants and slaves. Those that were professionals, they were allowed to integrate into the Asian society. The book even talks about how some of them were classified as palm color, despite their real skin complexion. So now we still have those that were on the opposite ends of both of those. They didn't want to leave their homeland. They didn't want to stay and be integrated into society. So they fought. And a lot of them actually were wiped out. They lost their lives. As you can see here, many of them were pushed further onto the modern day African continent. As you can see here, they were pushed into the Mediterranean and down into modern day Africa. They wanted to get away from the subjugation, the ill treatment. For those of you that don't believe that all of this was actually taking place in the Americas, take a look at what I have underlined in red. It says, but the Africans had taken their firm stand within Egypt. That's ancient Egypt in America, making it two lands, exactly as the Sudan is two lands, which is modern day Africa. Isn't that where Sudan is today, with the Arabs and colored Arabs in the north and Africans in the south? Isn't that how it's arranged in modern day Africa? The lighter skinned people, they're up on the top in the north, the Arabs, and then you have the actual Africans in the bottom, mixed in with the E1B1A people from America. And please note, why does it say they went to modern day Africa? To escape pale skin oppression. There you have it. We're going to continue this video in part 2. We're going to talk more about how they got over there and where in modern day Africa a lot of the people from the Americas went to and are today. This is the book that I'm reading from. Greetings, fam.